Hi everyone, today we're going to be discussing what a terrible debate CNN hosted, and this is probably going to be a pretty controversial video to say the least. It will be relatively short to medium length, probably about 7 minutes or so, and firstly I'm just going to start off with the good, and the good is that they managed to get 20 candidates to debate, and it's really hard to say a lot of good things, but they did host it in Detroit, but that it doesn't really grasp their fundamental misunderstanding of what a debate is meant to be. And so I'm going to go through quite a few points that I have with issue on CNN about this debate. And so even though they did give us a few moments, I thought they did a very poor job of hosting the debate. And I didn't think MSNBC and NBC and Telemundo did a very good job at doing their debate, but I thought that CNN did their debate a lot worse. Firstly, they were constantly stopping candidates, and I know that you want to get to all the candidates, but you were constantly stopping candidates with impatient "thank you, candidate X. Thank you, Bernie Sanders. Thank you, Elizabeth Warren. Thank you, Kamala Harris. Thank you, Pete Buttigieg. Thank you, Joe Biden." And actually, thank you, Joe Biden didn't really happen a lot, but there was just constant thank you, and it was just, they seemed very impatient to try and get all the questions that they had lined up done in the amount of time that they had allocated for the debate, which was very weird because they seemed to have a lot of time at the beginning, which I'm going to get to in a later critique. So they were constantly stopping candidates, and even though, yes, those are the rules, and yes, the candidates have agreed to those rules, I think that the rules this time were quite, let's just say, very poor. And that's another later critique I'm going to get to. Secondly, this is a controversial one, but in the NBC and MSNBC and Telemundo debates, I loved how that for some issues they did a raise your hand question. So, for example, they had said something along the lines of, do you support taking away, under your health insurance plan, does it take away the private insurance that people have and replace it with a government-run system? Now, again, people have said it all depends on how you ask the question, but I still thought that overall that was a very good idea, to see which candidates raised their hand and which candidates did not raise their hand. And CNN didn't have that, and so you ended up having a lot of time dedicated to these 1-minute answers where someone would ask a question, one of the moderators, that really deserved 3 or 4 minutes to go in depth, and they kind of just had this 1-minute answer that didn't allow them to go in depth on what the actual policies are in that case. So I thought that the no raising hand questions was not a good idea, and I remember in the previous debate they also had down the line questions where they asked each candidate, they just went down the line. For example, what do you think is the greatest geopolitical threat was one of the questions on foreign policy, but they had every candidate give a 1 to 2 word answer. I didn't like those, but I really liked the raising hand questions, and even though some people say they're similar, I didn't like that one. So I'm glad CNN cut out the down the line questions, but I really liked those raising hand questions. It made it very clear to voters where the candidates stand, rather than going into these explanations, and then the moderator having to follow up. You have 15 seconds to answer my question, and oftentimes they still wouldn't, and they wouldn't follow it up again. And I thought that the raising hands was really a very good idea, to have all the candidates just be very clear on where they stand on the issues. Second thing, 1-minute time limit to answer the questions, 30 seconds for rebuttals, and sometimes as little as 15 seconds for rebuttals or a follow-up. That is simply not enough time. There's simply not enough time for the candidates to go in depth on what they actually care about and what are the key policies to them. And I just thought that the 1 minute time limit is simply too short. It doesn't allow the candidates to go in depth. And I thought the healthcare section was also too long. I thought that it went on for like the best part of an hour or 45 minutes. And I just thought that it went on and on and on. And at the end of the night, I didn't even get at the beginning of the night, towards the end, compared to the end of the night, especially on healthcare, all that time was dedicated to healthcare, right? In a solid third of the debate was dedicated to healthcare, and that's an important issue. Healthcare is an important issue. I thought that healthcare was given too much time. I didn't think the economy was given enough time. I didn't think that issues such as climate change were given enough time. I thought that some healthcare was given way too much time. But anyway, I thought the 1 minute time limit was absolutely ridiculous. Just a small thing though, I didn't like how there was, towards the beginning of the debate, I think during Bill de Blasio's open, Cory Booker's open, and one of the times when Joe Biden was answering a question, there were people shouting in the background, protesters, and it made it hard to concentrate on what the candidates were actually saying. And I understand that it's hard to ask a politician questions these days because anyway, I thought that was a bit of a distraction, and the whole debate just seems very messy and very unprofessional, hosted in a very unprofessional manner. Another thing, the first question was asked 25 minutes into the debate. I understand, they like to have the national anthem, that's important, but other than that having the candidates come on stage individually, that's okay for when there was just two candidates in the 2016 debates, but having 10 candidates come on stage and each of them had to shake a hand with all the other candidates, and then they, after going through all of the intro stuff, then they went on a commercial break, and I just thought that part was very poorly managed. But my main critique of CNN's debate is that most of the questions were just saying, respond to Candidate A, can you please respond to Candidate B's criticism of your plan, and how Candidate C has also tagged onto that criticism. I just, it was framed, the first question on the second debate was something along the lines of, Kamala Harris, you've just unveiled a new healthcare plan. Joe Biden has called the healthcare plan X, and then you have also called Joe Biden's plan Y. How do you respond to Joe Biden? All the questions were how do you respond to another candidate saying something bad about you? And it didn't provide for an in-depth conversation about the policy issues that are confronting the country. And so I thought the CNN debate was an absolute mess, and no wonder the ratings did drop significantly compared to the MSNBC debate. And the MSNBC debate was nothing but perfect. Sorry, it was nothing but not perfect. I also had many critiques of the MSNBC debate, but it's hard to run a debate, and I thought that MSNBC, given the circumstances, did an okay job at running the debate, but CNN did a terrible job, and I don't think that they did a good job at all, and those were my critiques of the CNN debate, and probably a controversial video, but that is my opinion on how CNN did in hosting the debates. Thank you for watching. Good night.